In other words, there is no, and it's like being a unicorn. They use the word unicorn in that passage of scripture. So in other words, there is no magic. Israel, or not the Israel we see on the map or nowadays, but that spiritual entity is like magic. Nothing can harm you because you're in the hand or the blessing of God. That is who you are, and it cannot change. But just because it says who you are does not mean you could say it all day long and all year long, but there comes some times that if you don't stay on it, you will forget and you will lose and you will let go of certain things. What had happened is when I did this knee, I kind of got a little, is that what it is? And I just kind of let go of some things, and I was sitting at home, overthinking things and everything else because I couldn't move, I couldn't go here, couldn't go there and everything. And then the last couple of weeks, all through the week, people want to do this, people want to do that and everything. And I'm only basically supposed to, about 45% healed on this thing. And so I'm doing this and doing that, and I think I kind of got overloaded a little bit. And so I come to realize I am very much human. But then there's a scripture in Haggai where they said, we can't build this house. And the Lord said, yes, you can. Well, where are we going to get the wood from? And God tells them, you are going to have to go to the top of the mountain and get the wood. Because the wood you need to build the next phase of your life cannot be found in low levels. Let me say it again. The wood you are going to need for the next phase of your life is not going to be found in the lowlands. What people have for you now is going to become perpetual. Now, I couldn't find, I was on my glasses here and I was looking up the word perpetual. I said, where is the word perpetual in the Bible? They said they couldn't find it. They couldn't find it. I said, it is in there because I've seen it, I've used it. Said it's not in there. And that's when I looked up, I said, it's the word everlasting. Everlasting life means perpetual living or self-generated living. And so I began to understand something about the blessings of God. The blessings of God are perpetual. They are constantly self-generating. When we wake up in the morning, that is why the mercies are new every day, because they are perpetual. As your skin sheds and exfoliates, so the different things in our lives exfoliate, and we wind up with new levels of living. Because what we're going to need to build the next frame of our lives now is going to take new wood from the highlands. So here's the word of the Lord to me. All right, Edward. You're talking about who you are. You're going to have to talk to people on another level here. Not necessarily the new people. You have to recognize where your people are and who your people are that are around you. And they have to recognize who you are. This is new wood now. And the wood that you're going to need to build the next thing, it's not about amounts or things of that sort. There's a freshness that must take place. I said, what kind of wood? And one of the areas that came along was redwood. I said, those trees that's up there in the north, that you can drive them, are those the redwoods that you can drive cars through, some of them, and they're real big? And they're hardwood, those hard redwoods. Well, they're hard redwoods, they're big, and they'll reach over 350 feet in the air. And on top of that, they live millennial. So anything that big and that tall, you would think have deep roots. Wouldn't you? No. They don't have deep roots. The roots are so shallow, they don't even go any deeper basically than 10 feet. Then what keeps the storm from knocking them over? Because most people look at root systems as individual. The redwoods go 10 feet, and instead of going down, they spread out. And they connect to the redwood that's next to them. And the other root, they connect to the redwood that's next to them. And the more they connect, and that one connects to the next one, so it means that when you see the whole forest of redwoods, all of them are connected to each other, and the power of their stability is their ability to be connected to each other. It is not the concept of America and rugged individualism. See, that is a spiritual lie here. That you need to run your roots real deep. The deeper you run your roots, the more your tree and your foundation will stand. It is not that. I've even taught it. It is not how deep you dig your foundation. It's about who your foundation is connected to. There is no other foundation that can be laid other than Christ Jesus. The money that you are going to need for your future is going to be connected to new wood. These trees only grow in high mountainous areas where the air is thin. Say rarefied air. You're going to have to be with people who breathe another kind of air. They don't breathe the same air as everybody. It's a different kind of air. I was listening to, in other words, so you've got to be, how do people like that think? What do they talk about? What's going? I was looking at this thing about basketball, NBA left Los Angeles. LeBron. Heard about LeBron, right? LeBron James leaves. He's gonna leave. He leaves. And when he leaves LA, everybody is saying, where is he going? And so they were saying, he's gonna go back to Cleveland. I was even saying, no, he ain't going back to Cleveland. They said, well, he got a home in Cleveland. He got his home is in Cleveland. They said, well, no, he's going to stay in Los Angeles, and he probably go to the Warriors because, the Warriors right up the street, and so, his daughter's in school or something, so he's going to stay in there because his home is in L.A. And they were talking, no, his home is in, I said, you're not thinking rarefied air. More than one home? There are 2 homes, and 3 homes are considered to be their one home. And so all of a sudden they say, he's going to Miami. I said, no. Neighbors all talking, no, they ain't going to Miami. All of a sudden it pops up. They said, where's he going? Philadelphia. Why would he go to Philadelphia? And then, here's the T on this. He goes to Philadelphia and only takes what, $8 million? Is that what it is? For 2 years? Is it 4 years? No, it's 2. $8 million for 2 years. In other words, $4 million a year. Oh, that's all he took? That's all he took. Oh, he wanted to get a coaching job. He said he don't want to coach. But here is what we understand, and this is why they don't like a LeBron James or a black man to make a move like that. What they're saying is that he shifted the whole earth system in Philadelphia when he decided to go there. Everything changed overnight. Destinations of people changed. Businesses, business owners changed overnight. The dreams of young children and young boys and girls have now changed overnight because this man is coming to their city. That's called rarefied air. That's not even Jordan air. No, that's not Jordan air. Jordan can't breathe that kind of air. Jordan breathes his own air. Everybody breathes his own air. But because of who he is, and he's going there as the husband of his wife for all of his life, basically. Look, I don't care what you got your rumors, and you can have all your rumors all you want. The man got his family, got his wife, he got his work, he kept his stuff together, got his money, whatever. He's doing the best he can, got his businesses, trying to, in some areas he succeeds, some areas he fails, but when he fails, he still succeeds. Because we don't fail, we fall. Failing, we say, what do you mean we fall? We do fail. No, I don't fail, you fall. You see, if you take the I out, you'll understand we only fall. When you fall, you get back up again. But the ability to shift an entire ecosystem, to shift an economic system by just making an announcement over the air that I'm going to Philadelphia. My God. When they are used to having these young men on plantations, and then they find out that the plantation is coming to Philadelphia, but it ain't owned by who they think is owned by. They thought the same thing was with the WNBA. Rarefied air. I was one of the season ticket holders when they first opened up. I bought the first 5 years of that thing. Me and Sim, we was there. I bought them season because I wanted to see something brand new. Why would you waste your money on women playing basketball? I said because they're going to be stars. I said, and I want to watch it happen. And I watched it happen. I watched them, some of them, and to where we were able to build and even build some of them. Some of them became members of ALC. We were able to even build them up and encourage them. Wood, breathing rarefied air. And that air is so thin, sometimes people don't know what they're going to do about life. But you got to be able to breathe it. You've got to be able to realize there's some wood that comes from high places. And sometimes you may be out of breath, but you got to be willing to go to those high places and minister in high places to where you ain't got time to be sitting down worrying about whether you got $22 to buy a burger. Now, let me say this to you. You may be in that space right now. You may be worried about whether or not you're going to be able to get a medium French fry. But you got to begin to set your mind on things eternal, things perpetual, and begin to practice perpetual thinking. Begin to practice your faith story. Begin to practice saying over and over and over again until you get to the space you want to get to. What is it that you, first of all, what is it that you want at this moment in your life? Other people is different. Some people is physical. Some things they're spiritual. Some things they're emotional. What is it that you want in this life right now? Number two, what is it that you may want for other people in life right now that are around you? How far are you willing to climb? Because every level you climb up, you will lose some people, but you will gain some. Can you be with just a few people? And maybe sometimes the rest of the time you're alone and you're by yourself. Some people say, I can't be by myself. Well, there comes a time you're going to learn how to be by yourself. If you're a person that talks too much, you got to learn how to be by yourself until just talk to the Lord. And when you don't hear from God, you'll know you talk too much. But you learn how to pull yourself down and learn how to just be alone with God. Well, I just want to be, be in the light with the Lord. Well, you may not be in the light all the time. Sometimes you'll be in the dark spaces. I don't want to be in the dark. I don't particularly like the dark either until I learned what the dark was. The dark is not always absent of God. Actually, the dark is where God is. That's Psalm 90. It says, and he will hide us under his feathers. As a hen, it's dark under the feathers of God. Sometimes you've got to learn how to be in the dark, be disoriented. If you stay in the bright light too much, the bright light will begin to look dark to you after a while anyway. So we learn that rarefied air may keep you alone sometimes, bring you into a new space of people. These are things that I believe that God is going to teach us how to walk in those kind of spaces now. Perpetual blessing. Perpetual blessing does not mean that you're going to have to, you might have a pint of Bluebell and then maybe you might not have a pint of Bluebell. That's not what we're, talking about. When I wind up, I say, I ain't got no money in my pocket. And I say, I don't need that ice cream anyway. I would have ate it if I did. But we also learn that to be content in whatever state we're in. What is that, Philippians 4? To be content in whatever state we are in. When we abound and when we don't abound. And I think that's what I was playing around with. What is it like to be when we have everything we want and when we don't have everything we want? How can you even your life out? And that's where I want to be, to even my life out. And to know that in whatever state I'm in, I'm abounding in God, because I know there's something in my bank account with him that whatever I need, if it gets too bad, I can always have it. Perpetual blessing. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all I wanted to say to you today. And for us to prepare ourselves for the future, I do know that there are churches all over the country that we can go to and we can be involved in and we can have fun in doing, but I think it comes a time that we have to realize even why we go to church, why are we in it, why are we involved in it. You know, there are people that say, well, you know, I don't need to go to church, I can have church by myself. Well, not quite, you need at least 2 or 3 more, you know. You can listen to music by yourself and say, well, I go to this church. Why you go to that church? Well, I go for the music. Why would you go to church strictly for music? Strictly for it. Well, so I can listen to the music. So you go to church to listen to the music. But what about the rest of everything? Well, you know, I don't remember half of, you know, what I said. Oh boy, you're missing the whole thing. You got to find your church where there's a word that is spoken to you that changes everything, that causes you to get strong, that causes you to grow up, that causes you to look at your life and say, I ain't been doing this too good over here lately. Hello, my friends. I'm Ed Montgomery. You know me, Pastor Ed, Dr. Ed. Thank you so much for doing what you do and contributing from your heart. People think giving comes from the pocket. Never has. Comes directly from the heart. In the world that we're living in right now, so many changes, so many things happening that will make us lose our faith. Listen, I've got to teach more than I've ever taught. Stay online more than I've ever been online. Because it's not just going to be enough to encourage. We're reteaching the faith. That's right, reteaching the faith. Because we have to begin to strengthen the teaching so that people who've never heard this gospel like this before can hear it and continue to move on. So when you give, you're pushing me and telling me and challenging me to keep going forward. Take a moment, go to myalc.org. That's myalc.org, myalc.org, and go ahead and click that donate button. It is safe, it is secure, and not only that, but it only takes just a couple of minutes, maybe even a few seconds for those of you that are already signed up. Or if you want to use your phone, wherever you're watching or however you're watching, you can use text to give. And that's 713-742-2035, 713-742-2035. Or you can go old school and you can write a check and send it in to Abundant Life Center or Ed Montgomery. It doesn't go into my pocket, it goes into our ministry. 772-300, Houston, Texas, 77215. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for what you already do. I am praying for you, and I am praying the best over your gift and over the offering. And I pray that abundance will continue to flow in your life in so many different ways. It'll warm your heart. God bless you.